All right, guys, so for lesson 3, we're doing the same thing we did yesterday, but with multiplication and division. So as you recall from yesterday, we're talking about solving inequalities. An inequality uses the greater than, less than, greater than or equal to, or less than or equal to symbols, okay, to solve a solution or make a solution for that inequality. So when you multiply or divide each side of an inequality by the same positive number, the inequality remains true. So here it says for multiplication, if I have -4 is less than 6, I can multiply both of those by 2 and it's still going to be true. So -4 times 2 is -8 and 6 times 2 is 12. Same thing happens with division. If I have 4 is greater than -6, I could divide both of those numbers by 2. 4 divided by 2 gives me this 2. -6 divided by 2 is -3. So we get 2 is greater than -3. Down below, we're going to solve these inequalities. We're going to see here that we want to get x by itself. I see that they're multiplying x by 6. To get x by itself, I need to divide both sides by 6. When I do that, I get x is less than -7. Just like the other day, I'm going to go in and graph these. So maybe this is -7, -8, -6, -5, and -4. My circle is going to be open because it does not entail less than or equal to, and my graph is going to the left. To check, we learned yesterday, I'm going to go back to this original inequality and write it down. So I had 6x is less than -42. They want you to find a number less than -7, so I'm going to say -10 to plug into the inequality. So I get 6 times -10 is less than -42. I'll get -60 is less than -42. Is that true? Yes, so I know my inequality is correct. Let's go ahead and try this next one. To get x by itself, it says x divided by 3 is less than or equal to 12. To get x by itself, I have to do the opposite of divide, which is multiply. So I'm going to multiply both sides by 3. When I do that, these 3's cancel, and I'm left with x is less than or equal to 36. I'm going to go ahead and graph that. So I'm going to say this is 36. Since this is positive, I'll have that as 37, 38, 35 is over here, and 34. My circle, is it going to be opened or closed? Well, it should be closed. And it's less than or equal to, so it's going to the left. To check, I'm going to write that original problem up here. X over 3 is less than or equal to 12. For me, I'm going to pick a number that's a multiple of 3 so the division is easy because my denominator here is 3. So a number that's less than 36 that's divisible by 3 is 30. So if I do 30 divided by 3, they want to know if that's less than or equal to 12. Well, 30 divided by 3 is 10. Is 10 less than or equal to 12? Yes, so I know that solution is correct. For this next one, technically it says 2/3 times x. There's an invisible multiplication sign there. Is less than or equal to 2. This is one of those tricky ones we talked about before break. What I'm going to do is divide both sides by 2/3 on a calculator. And when you divide a number by 2/3 or by a fraction, technically you're multiplying by the reciprocal. So a lot of you are going to multiply or divide this on the calculator by doing 2 divided by 2 ABC 3. If you want to do this by hand, we learned a while ago that you could do 2 divided by 2/3. And when you divide by a fraction, that technically we keep it, change it, flip it, becomes multiplication. So we get 2 times 3/2. We would get 3. I'm going to go in and graph this. So here's my 3. I'll have 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. My circle is at 3. Is it opened or closed? Well, it's closed because it's or equal to, and it's going to the left. To check it, this one's kind of tricky. If I have 2/3 x is less than or equal to 2, I'm going to either pick a number that's a multiple of 3, okay, so it's easy to multiply, or I can use 0, because anything times 0 is 0. So I'm going to multiply by 0. 2/3 times 0 is 0. Is 0 less than or equal to 2? Yes, so I know that is correct. Now here's where things get tricky. When you multiply and divide each side of an inequality by the same negative number, the direction of the inequality sign must be reversed for the inequality to remain true. In other words, if you're going to multiply or divide by a negative number, you have to remember to change your sign or flip the sign. Change or flip your inequality sign. So here it says -4 is less than 6. Well, if I were to multiply both sides by -2, I need to flip that sign. So do you see how it was less than here? Because I multiplied by -2, now it's going to go ahead and be greater than. Same thing over here when you divide by a negative. Here it was greater than. You have to flip the sign to be less than. So let's try a few of these. I'm going to divide both sides by -3. When I do that, I'm going to get x. Since I divided by a negative, I need to flip the sign. So it's no longer greater than or equal to, it's going to be less than or equal to 8. When I go in and graph this, I have 8, 9, 10, and I'll have 6 and 7. My circle at 8 will be closed, going to the left. Pick a number less than 8. I'm going to do 0 to check it. Is -3 times 0 greater than or equal to -24? Well, is 0 greater than or equal to -24? Yes, so I know my solution is correct. For this next one, here's that tricky one again, right? We have a multiplication sign. The opposite of multiply is divide, so I'm going to divide both sides by -5/8. So I'll get x is greater than or equal to. Again, the reason why I flipped it is because I divided by a negative. When you type this into the calculator, or you can do it by hand, or keep, change, flip, you should get -8. These 5s would cancel. So if this is -8, -7, -6, my circle will be shaded going to the right. I'm going to pick a point on the right of -8 to the right or greater than that. I'm going to do 0. So if I plug that in, I get -5/8 times 0. Is it less than or equal to 5? Well, this is 0. Is 0 less than or equal to 5? Yes, so I know my solution is correct. All right, this next one, the opposite of dividing by -3 is multiplying by -3. When I do that, I'm going to get x. I have to flip my sign, is less than 12. So if this is 10, I have 11, I have 12, I have 9, and I have 8. My circle will be opened at 12, going to the left. To check it, I need to rewrite my equation. I have x over -3 is greater than -4. I'm going to pick a number that is divisible by -3 that fits my graph. So I'm going to choose 9 because I know I can divide 9 by -3. Oh man. So I'll get 9 divided by -3. Is that greater than -4? Well, is -3 greater than -4? Yes, it is greater than -4. So I know my answer is correct. All right, so main idea, going off of our stuff yesterday, is up here for number 1, we did not need to flip our sign. Why did we not need to flip our sign? Well, because we divided by a +6. So our sign stays the same. But down below, when you start dividing by a negative, that's when we have to flip our inequality sign to make our statement true. All right, so go ahead and do your lesson 3 notes, and then I'll go over what is next.